Okay, we're rolling.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. It's been a minute since we've done this. If we're honest, it's been a little difficult to just get a day where we can do this. I think I assumed it was going to be a lot easier. It's wrong. We've been on the move a lot. We've had a lot of people to see, which has been fantastic. We'll get better.
I think
we'll slow down in Baja, I think.
I think we were in like civilization for
a week?
Yeah, a while.
Much?
Like we stayed with my family, and then we stayed with some friends on the coast in San Diego. And now where we sit right now is a piece of BLM just outside of the Glamis sand dunes. So, yeah, we're gonna cross into Mexico in 2 days. So we're getting very close to Mexico time, but where we let off last time was...
Well, and even before that, I want to touch on, we had one request to discuss in the podcast why we chose to take this trip in the Patrol rather than the Gladiator. So even before we jump into continuing on with our story, I'd love to tackle that question.
Yeah. Couple of reasons. The first one is the tray and canopy. The functionality that the canopy provides is super, it's so much easier.
Functionality and safety, if we're being honest, especially when we're talking about going, really after the experience we had the other night, out of the country, yes. We know that Baja in particular, you're looking at if it can be taken easily, it's going to be taken. So safety features with the canopy versus just having our bed rack and slide in the Gladiator. It's total apples to oranges, night and day.
Yeah.
Huge game changer for the experience.
For me, I guess, mostly it was the functionality. It was just the ease of being able to throw the door up and open the fridge and grab something. And then as well, it's just cool because of what it is. Like, it's just a super unique vehicle, and I like that. But also, because of what it is, it's just very, very simple. It is simple gas engine with a carburetor, manual transmission, manual transfer case. Like, everything about it is very simple, very basic, very low tech, which makes it really easy to fix on the fly. Like, if something were to go wrong with the truck, we know that it's just something mechanical. And mechanical stuff is, relatively speaking, very easy to fix. Coming from working as a dealership technician and working in the automotive space, I know that it's very often newer vehicles can have, a piece of firmware go bad, and next thing you know, you can't drive your car. And that just isn't an option when you're stuck in another country. It's one thing if you're driving to grandma's house for the holidays, but when you're going to Ensenada for Christmas, it can't not work. And if it doesn't work, if it breaks for some reason, you need to be able to come up with a solution.
Didn't you say it'll work in an EMP situation?
It'll work. The truck will pretty much run underwater. I mean, it has nothing. The truck is as simple as they get. It has points ignition. It has no computer whatsoever. It has no power steering. It has very little to fail, very little plumbing, right? Like, sure, the no power steering kind of sucks. I acknowledge that. But how many times do power steering systems have issues, right? They can leak. They can fail, and it's not like you can just let a power steering vehicle fail and I'll just still steer it. They get immensely harder than a manual steering car to steer at that point. So the fact that it has no features at all is not great for the driving experience or the passenger experience. I acknowledge that, but it is extremely durable and extremely capable, and just won't fail because there's nothing to fail. So what will go bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of, that sums it up. I think functionality, simplicity, and security are the three reasons that we chose to take this.
Yeah, yeah.
And style, right? Like you said, it's something that's super unique. That's why we were drawn to it. That's why we've taken it on as a project. And now after almost a year, because we got it in January and here we are in December, so almost a year of putting a bunch of hard work into it, the last thing that we want to do is leave it at home. Time to take it out, see what
Totally.
it's got.
Yeah, I did a build update today, so if you want to see that, you can click over to that. It'll be on our channel by the time this is up. And I realized there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't get done, which I kind of knew going in, but I realized...
We did like a pretty good overview of all of the updates that were made, but there are so many eccentricities to the system that we have that I think that we'll continue to go in detail on. Just do it in more depth for kind of each component rather than trying to cram that all into one update video.
Oh no, what I'm saying is there's a bunch of things to do to the truck that we didn't get done. They're like,
I think that's every
storage,
vehicle, though.
kitchen, that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of like main key things, but it was one of those where it took a year just to get it this far, right? Like otherwise we would have to get more done on this project. We would have had to make it our full-time job just to build this car. I mean,
for sure. Or tons of money. Like if somebody has tens of thousands of dollars that they can throw at a project vehicle, they can get this stuff done a lot faster. We don't do that. We don't have that kind of extra money.
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing on this thing, we're doing ourselves, or we're doing it with the help of friends who are very knowledgeable and skilled. So we're doing this very grassroots. It's not something where everybody is, I don't know, stepping in and doing it for us.
Sure.
And we're not throwing money at it.
Yeah, yeah. So where we left off last podcast was...
We left off that we made it through the route of hell. And I think we'd made it to the camp spot. That was where we left it. We made it to the camp spot after a ridiculously difficult trail run.
Yeah. So we won't rehash that, but let's go into where did we go after that?
I just want to start by saying that Atticus woke up. He came out of the tent and he looked out because when we got there it was pitch black and we couldn't, you can't see anything other than the glimmer of hope that was in the distance and was the town lights that we could see.
Yeah.
Atticus got out of the tent and he commented on just how beautiful the view was, because all of a sudden we could see there's just these mountains that are surrounding us and this beautiful lake that's down below. All stuff that was just fantastic. He grabbed all the chairs and set up all the chairs so that we could enjoy our coffee and breakfast staring out at the view. So that was really cool. And this was Thanksgiving morning.
Yep.
So Thanksgiving Day, we woke up to the pretty view and everything.
And we were thankful.
So grateful. It was fantastic.
Then what? Where'd we go?
It was a little chaotic, if I'm honest, because things hadn't exactly gone to plan up to that point. So we had no idea where we were going the next day. We knew that we were going to head towards San Francisco. There was a spot that was more in like the Big Sur area that we wanted to try and get to. But after such a long, strenuous day, we wanted to kind of take it easy and not do more than just 2 to 3 hours of driving.
Yeah.
So we struggled, but we did end up finding a state park campground that we could stay at, which at that point we kind of wanted to reset anyway, and it advertised showers. So we made it to Napa Valley, and we went to a state campground there.
Yep.
Which was
It was okay.
It was okay. They have showers. They do not have hot showers, just in case anyone's curious. So if you are into polar plunge, that is the shower for you.
Yep. Cold showers. Uh, it was okay. It was just fine. It was, like you said, we needed a reset.
It was so cold. No, do you remember how cold it was? It was freezing
Yeah.
cold. We were right next to a creek too, so I think we were just like kind of down in this valley. So all of that, like the cold temperature is just kind of like sunk in where we were at. Plus we had some like humidity from the creek. It was so cold that the boys, like Patrick made an awesome dinner for Thanksgiving. He did his stir-fried chicken. We ate that really fast, and then like the boys and I just jetted up to the tent and we just played some card games for a couple hours just to be able to escape to somewhere a little bit warmer.
Yeah, I was importing and editing video, and it was very chilly.
He's cold.
It was very chilly, but
A great reminder that we needed to continue to head south because obviously we had not gone far enough.
yeah. So we stayed there one night, uneventful, and then went to next night was Big Sur.
It was
Right?
Big Sur.
So I had found this spot, and I still have it on my Onyx as a waypoint, and I'm almost scheming at this point.
We're
Maybe
gonna
we can
do it.
hit it on the way home or something. But it looks like a beautiful spot. It's just south of Big Sur, actually, by a good little bit. We found out. It looks a lot closer on the map, and it's like this trail that you ride, and then it opens up to this big bluff, and you're looking over the Pacific Ocean, right? So it sounds really cool, and I was like, we should go do that. And I don't know if I use navigation or not. I feel like I did. I feel like I did use
yeah.
navigation, and it didn't say it, but it turns out the Pacific Coast Highway is closed about 20 miles south of Big Sur.
Yeah, so we're at Carmel. We were in Carmel and they had signs that the road was closed like 50 miles ahead or something like that. And we were like, well, how far is the spot
Yeah.
exactly? And
I was kind of
we were trying to figure out like mapping.
I knew it was close. I knew it
Yeah.
was going to be close.
It was close.
And it was. So we drove all the way to the closure because I just wanted, at this point, we're already there. We're already driving the highway, so we might as well. And right at about sunset, we got to the closure, and I think it was like maybe 10 miles.
No, probably not even. I think when we were
Yeah.
looking, it was closer to like 5 miles.
Yeah,
Like,
so it was
close.
really close.
But it was like 44 miles back to Carmel, which is like where you have to go to be able to get out.
To loop back off the highway.
Yeah.
You have to go that far. What's interesting, I found out the next day that the closure is like 15 miles long.
Yeah.
So that trail might even be in the closure.
Mm-hmm.
You may not even be able to access it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For a
But
future date.
we were kind of out of options because at this point we're stuck on the Pacific Coast Highway, which is 2-lane. I'm sure you've been on it, and if you haven't, it's just 2-lane. It's almost a shelf road at times. It's literally cut out of the rocks.
It's pretty. It's an experience for sure. And I would always recommend for someone to do it because it's so pretty. You get to just see the coast. It's got some really interesting houses that are all along the way. Different properties that are like ranches that are out there too.
It's wild.
It's really cool. Yeah. It's just something that you need to know that you're going to dedicate a whole day to because you go so slow.
Yeah. And there's, I guess the point I was trying to make is there's nothing there. It's just this 2-lane highway. Mm-hmm. There's no like real offshoots. You're
stuck on the road.
It's just a 2-lane road, and either you own a property that's one of the driveways or you do not. And there's definitely no public land there. I mean, you definitely have to go inland up the hill somehow to be able to get to public land. So after meeting the dead end, we were kind of smoked. We had no options at that point. And I was a little I was a little annoyed, if I'm honest. Like it just didn't. It just sucked to get so close. So we turned around and went back to Big Sur, and like I said, we got to the dead end at sunset. So now the clock is ticking because we're like, we need somewhere to stay.
In Big Sur itself, there are some privately owned campgrounds and stuff and like cute shops. They're just, they come at quite the price tag.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap, and we stayed one night.
We got the last camp spot because what night was that? This was a Friday night.
Yeah,
This is a Friday night after Thanksgiving. This is where people go, because we were hearing this in the campground, this is where people go to go get their Christmas tree for the weekend.
yeah,
People do this every year. They will get their entire family. They reserve this months in advance to be able to come experience being in Big Sur for the weekend after Thanksgiving. We got the last spot out of the 3 campgrounds that were right in that area, and it was $135.
so expensive, so expensive.
But it was cute because people were there for Christmas. Do you remember the Santa Claus?
Yeah,
There was this like
They had,
little
like,
parade
carolers.
of people, that came through. They're singing Christmas carols, handing out candy canes and stuff. Santa was all dressed up.
Yeah.
It was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had on like one of our adventures. Not that we go to campgrounds all the time. Certainly like probably the coolest experience at a campground I've ever had.
Yeah.
The cute little pity with
Was
the
not
elf outfit.
was not worth $140 though.
Hot showers too. Hot showers.
Yeah.
Mind you, I have a head cold this entire time.
Yeah.
It was not like the most ideal, like conducive situation with us staying out in like super cold temperatures and stuff through this whole experience and going through our like rough day of trail riding. Because I was sick and just trying to manifest getting better as fast as possible, but I was still not running at 100%. So I went in and I took like a 30-minute hot shower, just stood in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to get my jacket really quick.
So we're going to pause, folks. Okay, we're back, folks. Amanda, we're in the desert. We're on the Mexico border, and it's not warm enough for her. So,
Well, so I wore my leggings and I have this gnarly tan line. It's ridiculous. Now I'm in shorts, but now it's later, so it's not 90 degrees and I'm getting cold. I'm complicated.
okay. So we left Big Sur, and we honestly didn't have, I mean, not that we ever really have a plan, but we didn't have any plan up to this point. And we reached out to our buddy Owen. And Owen said, well, actually, we didn't reach out. He reached out to us. And I told him, hey, we're in Big Sur. And he said, do you want to stay at my buddy Fred's house? And I was like, sure. That sounds good. So he sends me Fred's contact info. It turns out it's Fred Williams with Dirt Every Day. And I was like, okay, I guess we're staying at Dirt Every Day, Dirthead Fred's place.
Staying at Fred's.
So we went to stay at Fred's, and the only request that we got from Fred was don't tell anybody where he lives. So we're not going to do that. But we will say that he happens to live on a vineyard, which is not telling you very much because pretty much all of Central California is covered in vineyards. But he does live on a vineyard, and he has this cool little spot where he can set people up and you can camp on his vineyard. So we...
Boys loved it because they had a big hill to run and
Yeah.
they just did like rounds, just going
Yeah.
all around the vineyard. It was fantastic for getting energy out.
And of course, we ran into Fred actually at Harbor Freight
Yeah.
before we were at his house.
Yeah, Patrick went into Harbor Freight. The boys and I are just at the truck, and he gets out of his Jeep and goes to the boys' window and was like, you don't have to be, or you happen to be with Patrick, are you? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he found us in his hometown.
Apparently we are unique enough to stand out.
Yeah, yeah. The clown shoe.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the first question he asks while we're there is, "Do you need to fix anything?" He's like, I got the shop, and my 80/20 extrusion shelf thing that I made was starting to break at this point. The pieces were starting
Oh, no,
to.
it was broken. It broke.
Yeah.
All the
So
way.
pretty cool. The next day, after staying the night in his yard, I got to pull our truck into his shop and like work on it with Fred, which was pretty cool. Pretty awesome experience. It was super nice of him to like have us stay at all, and then also to work on the truck. And it also, probably the highlight was he took Atticus and I around and showed us all of the projects that he has. He has quite a few, as you might guess. But he also, it's cool because there were some that he was like, oh yeah, this was in the TV show. This one was in the TV show. And then later, we were all able to watch the TV show and see the episodes he was talking about. So Atticus thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So we got to see the Jeep that drove underwater, and Atticus was excited about that. He was stoked to see that. So where'd we go after Fred's?
We met up with your college friend,
Tyler.
for
Shout out to
a
Tyler.
quick meal.
Yep.
And then we headed down towards Pismo.
Yep.
It's one of our favorite places to go every time that we come down to California is to go to Pismo Beach. We just have a lot of really fond memories there. Starting with our first road trip together, how many years ago?
12 years
12
ago?
years ago. Started it all. As traumatic as it was, we kept going back.
Yeah. So we stayed, it was the perfect time to go to Pismo because it was like, what, a Wednesday or a Tuesday or something? Yeah, I don't know. It was a weekday. It was the middle of the week. We were able to hit.
No, it was like the beginning of the week. I think it was like Sunday or Monday because people were clearing out.
Either way, we were able to go and stay at Pismo on like off season during the middle of the week, which is like the perfect time to be there. And it was beautiful. It was very nice.
Sunset was wild that night.
Yeah, sunset was beautiful, and then sunrise the next morning was also beautiful. We had a whole day. We ended up staying at Pismo 2 days, and we had a whole day where it was just beautiful and sunny.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last day we were there, it turned and got cloudy the night.
I watched because the boys
evening?
and I were like playing in the waves. We're like looking for shells and all sorts of stuff. I could literally see this wall of clouds that was coming in, and I just like thought to myself, like, I wonder how long it's gonna take and how cold is it gonna get?
Yeah. Well, it turns out it got pretty cold. Once again, I was uploading video, so I stayed out in the cold for quite a long while.
And the boys and I went up in the tent.
Yep, and Amanda and the boys went in the tent, and then we woke up the next day, and it was weird because I like came out. I think I may have even been the first one out because everybody was like, "I don't want to go."
Yeah, it was still freezing cold.
Usually Amanda's the first one out of the tent in the morning, and she'll go make coffee. But I got out and started baking coffee and messing around, and I realized like everything was just wet. And I was like, did it rain? I didn't hear it rain.
Looked like it did. It was that wet.
It was that much. It was that much moisture everywhere that I like thought it had rained, but it wasn't. It was just these thick clouds that came off the ocean, and they had so much humidity in them that everything just condensated, and it was annoying. I know for Amanda it was really annoying. I remember you got up that morning and were like,
I was so frustrated.
You were like, it's cold and everything's wet.
I wanted a shower. The only shower we had had up to this point since being at the covered wagons was the freezing cold shower that I got at Napa Valley. And I was in and out of that so fast, but I needed to like wash off. But like I wanted a shower. We had a ton of dirty clothes. I needed a laundromat because we had been on the road for like 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
And I was just so frustrated with it being so cold still too. Like us making it down to Pismo Beach, like we didn't pack for cold. We very intentionally packed like one jacket for everybody and like a pair of sweatpants for everybody. But that was just because it was going to be like, we need to be able to get down to Southern California and then we're done. We don't have to worry about cold anymore. And so I was so frustrated. It was so cold. I needed a shower. I needed coffee, but I didn't want to deal with all of the like wet, sandy stuff.
Yeah.
It was a bit much. It was a low point for me.
Definitely the humidity and the sand added together is not ideal because it makes for everything just gets sandy, right?
Yeah.
And it like you can't brush it off.
Well, and we knew that we were leaving that day, so we knew we were putting everything away super wet and sandy, like just not ideal.
Yeah. I was doing okay. Be
You
honest.
were, yeah.
I just kind of loaded stuff up, and
we have a knack for that, where like one will be down and the other one will be fine and help like pick up the other person. That's just always kind of how it's been in our relationship. Is that we're just really good, and I don't know if that's just trigger. Like we notice that the other one is kind of down, and so it triggers in us to be a little bit more optimistic. I know that I can say that I'm aware of that change in myself sometimes where I'm like, okay, I can't. I don't have the option of being that because right now you need me to be better.
Sure. So I just kind of loaded stuff up. And I knew we were headed to the desert at this point. I knew we were going inland because we weren't going to stay on the coast after Pismo for the time being. So I was like, whatever, we'll go somewhere and it will everything will dry and we'll clean it off and it'll be fine, right? It's not the end of the world, but I can get that it was annoying and frustrating.
Yeah. I was at my point where I needed a reset pretty badly.
Yeah. So then we went to Ventura.
We went to Ventura. We looked up some KOAs just knowing that they have laundry and showers. Plus they typically have like playground area for kids. So we just figured that would be a good place to find something. All of that to say, because I knew the experience at the state park where the shower was not a hot shower. So I wanted something that was going to be more guarantee. So we found the Ventura KOA, which had advertised all of the above.
And unfortunately, they were struck with a wildfire like a couple years prior. And when they rebuilt, they never rebuilt the laundry. So that KOA, just so you know, does not have laundry.
Has a lot of other stuff, though.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool. It has like zip lines and climbing walls and...
like a kid's dream.
Yeah. It has all this stuff. That's cool.
And peacocks, about hundreds of peacocks.
Hundreds of peacocks.
Said. They're just going around. They will come right up to you and stuff. Like, lots of peacocks.
Yeah. So that was a good...
It was a good reset. We ended up going down into town to a laundromat. We found a barber so that Patrick could get his haircut.
Shout out to the gentleman's barber in Ventura.
Yeah.
Killed it. Did a great job.
So it ended up working out fine. The showers were fine. They still weren't hot, but they were warm.
Yeah, they were warmish.
And clean. So,
yeah, and very clean.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. And they had power hookups.
They did. So we were able
which was huge. We were able to like
recharge.
Charge everything. And then one thing I'm discovering is even with our 12-volt system, when I'm rendering video, which for non-video folks won't really mean anything, but just it means the computer's working very hard. Our Mac is pulling an immense amount of power. And so trying to keep the batteries up when the computer is pulling a ton of power is a challenge.
Even with our solar panels. Like the solar panels are good at, I mean, we do see an increase when we have both of them out. Like we are
Yeah, if it's
seeing
good
an
clear sun.
increase,
The way I look at
but not very much.
the way I think about solar panels now, after having like a large 12-volt system for a while, I think of solar panels as essentially just stopping loss.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily gain a bunch. Like today we were at 31% when we woke up. I consumed some power today by doing some computer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're at like 34%. Right? So we didn't really gain much. We only went up 3% to all day today with like desert sun. But we also didn't lose anything.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
kind
the
of how I
big-
think about solar, is like it is a solution to make sure that you have this, like, we're not going to go below with our normal running, fridge, charging phones and running the computer and charging camera batteries. But when I start to ask our 12-volt system to like render a bunch of YouTube videos, it starts to tax that system a lot. So having connection, having power, like an actual plug-in every once in a while, is huge. It's super helpful. It gives me a time to rush and squeak in a bunch of editing time, because it's like no issue. I'm not just draining the batteries to do that. And two, it lets us leave in the morning from somewhere with 100% power, which is pretty cool, because usually like tomorrow morning we'll probably be at 20% or something by the time we're like driving, and obviously it will recharge throughout the day. But yeah, it's just it's nice to have plugins every once in a while.
Yeah.
So we stayed 2 nights, met a wonderful neighbor who's like he's a bush pilot. He drives a Cub Cadet, or flies. He doesn't drive, he flies. He pilots a Cub Cadet up in Alaska, and he was there. Of all places, he's in Ventura because there's some acrobatic and evasive flying like class that is, the book was written by someone who flies out of this little Ventura airport that's right on the edge of town. We actually ended up seeing it. And he's there to get this class, retired fellow. And I asked, like, why are you getting it? Like, do you have to get this certification or whatever? And he said, no, just want to continue learning, just being a forever student. So it was pretty cool.
Way to do it.
And he took a liking to the boys.
He did, yeah.
He enjoyed having kids around.
Admittedly, the boys stayed super late. Do you remember? They were like down at this playground and it was dark, and they're really good about knowing like when to come back. And I walked over and I could see the figure of this adult man with the boys, and I didn't know it was our neighbor at the time, but I just was like, who is that? And why are you talking to our children? And then I put the pieces together. But yeah, no, he really enjoyed just talking to the boys.
Yeah. And he came over and shared a fire with us.
He did.
Well.
He had a bunch of campfire wood, and we didn't have any. He gave the boys one of the campfire color bag things that you can put in there, and he was like, I'll give you my wood if you'll just share the campfire with me later. And we were like, you got a deal. Yep.
So, a couple nights at the KOA, and then next stop was LA. I think
it's probably good.
We're coming up
at that.
Let's just cover LA.
Yeah.
Let's cover LA. Excuse me.
Okay.
You want to call it there?
Maybe.
Okay. We're going to call it there. You guys can come back for another one. And next time, we're going to talk about a really cool event. We were staying in LA, which is like total antithesis of like, we're going overlanding, we're going remote traveling. Like LA is 13 million people living right on top of each other. I just happened to have some family there, so it was a convenient place to stay. And there was this really cool event that we will tell you about next time. And it's very much so related to kind of this world, the automotive world.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys listening again, and we will catch you next time on Ruggedcast.